Hello everyone, welcome to our Kapi Poha session on World of Book series, and this is episode 4, and we'll be talking about trekking today. So before I get into the topic of trekking, I want to give an introduction about myself and my initiative Nimitam. So I'm Smita Umeshan, chartered accountant by qualification, and I have around 16 plus years of experience in banking and finance industry. So what I did was I took a pause from my corporate career to experience life through travel, and I had an amazing time. And once I was back, I went through a transformation journey. So when I went through that transformation journey, I found my life's purpose, and that is how I started with Nimitam. So Nimittam is a Malayalam word which means reason or indication of good omen. So that is the name I've given to my platform. And in this platform, I would be sharing my dreams and passions which I wanted to follow and I wanted to share with everyone. And also recently I've started with chat shows which is called by Kapi Poha sessions, and right now we are doing a World of Book series. In these sessions, what I'm trying to do is to bring all the heroes and sheroes whom I've met in my life, and they come in the show and share their own experiences and learnings. And next step after this chat show is to leverage on the learnings from my life and what I've heard from these heroes and sheroes, and take a further step ahead into conducting workshops on life skills, which help people to cope up with the hardships they face in life. So that is in brief about myself and Nimitam. So yeah, let me get back to trekking. So what trekking means to me. So for me, mountains are home, and trekking is not, it's like an emotion for me. It's a feeling basically. So yeah, I started trekking from September 2017, and my first trek was Rupkund. And my experience with trekking has been of hate and love. So the first 2 days when I started off in my Rupkund trek, I thought, why did I sign it up for? And is it something? This is so hard. I've heard mountains are beautiful, but my experience in first 2 days was really difficult for me. I was slowest trekker. I was the last one to finish treks every day. But the third day when I reached Bedni Bugyal and I saw those mountains like Nandi Gunti, Chowkhamba, Mount Trishul and all, I think I just fell in love with them. And from that day onwards, from that trek onwards basically, I did back-to-back treks, and I did around 21 treks, and mostly my treks are with India Hikes. So I did around 16 treks with India Hikes itself. So I'm not promoting India Hikes here, but for me India Hikes is like a family. So I never used to call myself a trekker when I started trekking initially, because on my first trek I was the slowest trekker, and there was a person who had complained against me saying that I'm not fit for trekking. I'm just fit for a walk in a garden. So yeah, at that time my fitness was really bad. I was not. I was having around 69 kgs of weight. So probably I had to go through a lot of training for fitness and also a change in my lifestyle, and that's how my journey from trekking from Rupkund to Everest happened. So yeah, I happened to meet Priya on a trek as well. So Priya is a guest speaker today. She is an IIM graduate and she works in IT transformation projects as well. So I call her a Shiro not because of her professional accomplishments. I call her a Shiro because she lives her life to the fullest. She's in love with life basically. And she does things in her life which makes her heart flutter. So whether it's riding a bike, whether it's traveling, whether it's trekking, whether it's reading a book, and she's even a dog lover too. So let me hand it over to Priya to say hi to you guys.
Hi guys, I'm glad I joined. Hi Smita, and it's very comforting to know that I'm part of your organization, your Nibitam initiative, and all supports and kudos to you for that.
So Priya, I met Priya on a ABC trek, and she reminds me of my younger version of myself. So that's how. So yeah. So Priya, have you done treks apart from ABC as well?
Yeah, I've done around 4 to 5 treks. I've done 5 treks
so, so why you keep trekking? What is the reason behind your trekking basically?
So my story which started with trekking is not a conventional way. I didn't aim to be going to mountains or anything. In fact, I was forced upon it. I had a college course where I was supposed to take either a course or outbound program, which turned out to be a trek. I begged and I tried to get away from it, but none of it worked for me. Finally, I did end up on a trek, crying, begging. I even thought of faking an injury to just get away from it. But I was thankfully I did, because once I reached the base camp after 15 stops on the way due to motion sickness, I remember still I saw Gangotri peaks in Uttarakhand. And that moment I fell in love, and it still makes my heart go all dizzy every time I go back. And I've been going back for the past 3 years, around 6 treks right now. And why do I go back? Is because something is very similar to what you said. It's home to me now. It has become a place where I can just unwind. I spend almost all my days overthinking and going through what ifs and what nots, what's going on, how do I do my future, what did I do wrong, what did I do right. I stopped living my present. And Trex is a place I actually connect with my present more than past. And so it's my home. Every time I go back, I'll be like, welcome back, baby. And that's how I start my trek. And, yeah.
Very interesting. So, how does this trekking concept or trekking in the mountains impacted your life as a whole?
So one big impact I could say is that I was very. So we all are in general. Our lives are very confined to our jobs, our families, and our friends. It doesn't get bigger than that. So anything which happens to us feels like, oh my god moment. Like, oh my god, did I miss a report? Oh my god, did I actually not submit on a deadline? Oh my god, my mom shouted at me. And I stopped doing that once I went to the trek, because you meet a lot of people and then you see the mountains, which is bigger than life itself, and then you realize your life was maybe just a tiny little tech, and going crazy over every single thing is not worth the panic we bring into it. And so overall, I think I've calmed down a lot. I've started seeing things clearly, and I've got a clarity which I never thought was possible in my 26 years of life. So I have.
For me, mountains mean a lot to me. So I feel most alive when I'm in mountains, basically.
Yeah. It's like you.
So how is it?
6 months just to be going back over there. And I think every moment it's all about the next trip or the next trek, and you just keep going towards it.
So I was lucky I was in Delhi, so probably I could travel every weekend, every month. So that's why I was able to do back-to-back treks as well. So how?
I was like that way.
So how did it impact your work basically? So did it impact your work life as well?
So I make it a plan that every 6 months once I go, and but in between I make sure that I plan my next trek the day I come down from my previous trek. So I have 6 months to plan, 6 months to give heads up to my organization. See, you see, my next leave is on these particular dates, is all fixed and done already. And I think being planned will help. And given the fact that I'm from South, it takes almost a day or two to just reach the base camp. So that means I have to put that much more time and effort into traveling. And just be prepared, give a heads up to your organization. Everybody has leaves, rather than just waking up one morning and deciding, I'm not well, let me not go to office. I save up all my leaves just to travel. So it works.
So probably I could do that excuse because I stay close by to Delhi. So there are a lot of weekend trips available in Himalayas. So Friday, if I'm not feeling well, I can just say I'm not feeling well and just go off to mountains.
I can't do that.
You can't do that because you're at the end of you're in South.
Yeah. And I've been lucky enough to have managers who were okay with me taking a break.
So has trekking influenced your working style as well?
Yes, I would say it has influenced my working style in the sense that I started prioritizing things rather than just taking everything as it's important. And nowadays I don't do that. I can sort out things and say that the clarity helps. I can look at what matters, which doesn't matter. How do I think twice before doing it? And being calm at work is something which anybody wants. So when you're entirely calm, it helps.
So Priya, I met in your ABC, so that is the Annapurna Base Camp trek, and I always used to see you with books and all those books only, a Kindle basically. Every time you roam around, whenever you get a break, you sit and read something or scribble something out there. So I wanted to know, because you are among few people who've done treks in Nepal as well as in India. So I wanted to know, how was your experience? What is the difference you find in both places?
So I've done 4 of my treks in India and 1 in Nepal. The one bucket where I put the entire experience is in awareness part. Because in India, the tourism industry or public as general is not very aware of treks and mountains. And you can see that when you go up there, it's mostly an offbeat trail. You don't see people much out there. And you don't see the right kind of people who are passionate, just people who decide to dare themselves or go up and everything. Nepal is an entire different story. The entire tourism works on mountains. The routes are well defined, the accessibility levels are very high, safety measures are taken ensure of, and you meet trekkers from across all over the world where you can understand how mountaineering is taken up as an act in different cultures, and you learn from them. And Nepal is a one-time experience. I think everybody should at least once go and see. It'll be for
Yeah.
the aesthetic beauty of the peaks or the way the trekking is done over there. It's really nice. There is downside to it for commercial issues because getting a Coke in 5,000 meters also means you have to drop a Coke can in 5,000 meters of garbage, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, there's mostly perks. It's accessible.
So last year I did a trip to Bali. So I met a person called George. So he's the one who told me that he's done treks in Nepal as well as in India. So same thing he was telling me. India is for culturally, if you want to know something culturally rich things, you should go and trek in India. And you want to know what all peaks are about and how beautiful the mountain ranges of Annapurna look like or Everest look like, you should do Nepal. So at least a person should visit Nepal once in his lifetime, basically. And we started off our Mount Batur trek in Bali at 4 o'clock, and by the time we reached around the sunrise time, we were just talking about treks only. So I mean, trek gives you a lot of good people to talk to. I mean, it makes you a storyteller at the end, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So now I'll get back.
8 days in ABC about just mountains, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm right.
So yeah, ABC. Even when we start with Pokhara, the views from Sarankot and all are so amazing.
Yeah, that is probably the only place where you can see 8,000 peaks in a 600-meter altitude.
Absolutely right. Yeah, for 8,000 peaks you have to be there. Yeah. So I know you're an avid reader too. So I wanted to know, do you feel there is a connect between reading a book, and going to mountains for trekking and all? Because I've seen people who come along with me for treks and all. They carry a book to read, or otherwise they've read a book, because of that they're coming to the mountains. What do you feel about that?
The books are my first love. I think I started reading when I was second standard or third standard, and I've been reading all my life. Mountains and books serve two different purposes. Mountains help me to concentrate on myself a lot more. Books gives me different perspectives to understand the world around me and me. And they do go hand in hand because they make me a holistic person in general. So yeah, I started reading out with fiction. I think now I don't have any genre barriers. I keep reading whatever I can get my hands on, as long as it's good. I can go.
So you are the one who introduced me to Rumi, if you remember.
He's beautiful. His
Yeah,
poems are
Rumi
the
is
best.
yours.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm a big fan of Rumi now.
They're so
So
down.
Yeah,
They're so down to earth. At the same time, they hit you very hard.
absolutely right. So yeah, I've heard about a lot of books which India has put in their website. Around 19 books are there. It's a very inspirational, and every person who goes on a trek or who's interested in knowing about mountaineering or trekking should read that. One of them is Annapurna. The other one is Into the Thin Air, etc. I think I will share the list with the viewers when I do the post of this video. So yeah, I wanted to know, what are the books you recommend people to read, because you read all kinds of genre. I've seen you reading a lot of different kinds of books, basically.
I would, as you brought up Annapurna, I would recommend that book. It's one of the best mountaineering books to read, and I think reading about mountaineering may not be same as visiting it because people may have different perspectives. But reading about somebody's summit will make you feel like you're actually there, the emotions and the feelings, because not everybody can actually climb Annapurna or Everest for the matter.
Absolutely,
but you can live the summit through somebody else's eyes, their hardships, and that's what makes mountaineering book special. It makes you understand what a heart goes through when you climb a mountain. Because it's never about, hey, we reached. It's never that simple. It's always with fate involved in it, randomness, or the just sheer fact of not knowing is what takes you to the peak. And I think people should pick their books up, and it'll give them perspective of what they have to expect in a mountain. So I'll put that as my first recommendation, Annapurna by Maurice S. Rock. Second would be, so now that we're all back in COVID and world is in a very bizarre state, I've gone back to fantasy, which is like my favorite cushion to fall down when world doesn't look okay. So one of my favorite fantasy series is Bromley Archive by Brandon Sanderson. It's a 3-book currently, and the series is going on. So that is something I would really recommend people to read if they're into fantasy genres, because the genre gives you hope. You pick that book, you read, you feel like, it's okay. The world is gonna be okay, and that's something we all need right now. And so that goes my second. Third is Sapiens by Harari.
Okay.
Sapiens is a book which made me realize that no matter how independent you are, how you say that you take your own life in your hand. Society turns you into who you are. And understanding your society more helps you to understand yourself.
Absolutely right.
How you react to things around you. And that is my third recommendation. My fourth book would be Quiet. It's by Susan Cain. So, being an introvert myself, I have found myself in company of a lot of extroverts and then realizing they really don't understand how my brain works, do they? They have no clue what's going on with most of the introverts. And Susan Cain's book is about introvertism and how do people cope, realize with it, or how it helps. You can be an introvert or extrovert, but just knowing how the other side lives gives you perspective on the people you meet. And it's a good way to understand psychology of people in general.
Okay.
And my fifth suggestion would be something very close to heart. It's called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. So it's a book, I would not put it into self-help. It does not give you a step of list about what to read, what not to read. It does not do that. What it does is that it's your self-awareness of your inner voice. You all have an inner voice which says that, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you don't raise your hand to give an answer. Maybe they are smarter than you, don't do it yourself. And just that book gives you about being aware of the inner voice outside yourself. It makes you realize it's not me. It's just what I keep saying to myself. And building up that awareness was one of the best things I did in the year 2019. So that was my 5 books in 5 different genres. I know people may not be very much into reading random genres, but these are my current bucket list. It's very difficult to pick books you love. I have a problem with that.
Yes, I understand. So probably I'll put the list of your books as well and I'm posting this video along with the list of India Hikes books as well. So yeah, another thing I wanted to I got to know from you about books as well, but I want to know from your experience, what do you want to share as one giveaway, one takeaway to our viewers as well from your limited experience of life basically. I know you're very young and just with whatever experience you have in life, what do you want to share with them? One particular takeaway.
You're asking it as a limited experience and making it feel very bad. I'm not that young. I'm 27 years old, so I have a list of experiences to say. One thing that I would take away from my life is fall in love with everything you do. Things with your work, with your people around you, because the more you fall in love, the more you give your heart and soul to it. Sometimes it may work out, sometimes it may not. You may get hurt. But you will not regret things anymore. Never do things for the sake of doing it. That does not help. Find things which will make your heart flutter. Find things which will make you go, have a spark in eyes. Things that I remember, when I first read about trekking or when I started trekking, I remember I woke up somebody at 3 a.m. to talk about Mount Nilgiri. I don't know why I did that. But that's how things in your life should make you feel. It should make you go crazy. It should make you feel like you're in love and you can't control it anymore. And that applies to everything you do. And when you try finding all those things that make your heart flutter, you'll have a life which you can say it's yours. Proudly. And you've lived it. So that would be my one takeaway from my life so far.
So Priya, it was very nice talking to you after a very, very long time. So it was an interesting conversation with you. So hopefully viewers, you guys also would have enjoyed our conversation. And probably it's normally we have a half an hour session, so probably it's time to end our show right now. So thanks Priya for coming, and also thanks to everybody who's been watching our episode, who have watched our episode 1, 2 and 3 and currently watching our episode 4 as well. Thanks for all the suggestions, feedback and recommendations. And probably we'll not be having a episode next week because of Diwali, and also wanted to share that we'll be having an elaborate trekking and travel series as well in next year, wherein more experience of travel and treks would be shared, because as I mentioned, I had gone through a travel journey, so there are a lot of trek buddies who will be coming and talking to about their experiences as well. And so we'll be meeting next on our chat show on 21st of November, 5:30 p.m. That is a Saturday after Diwali. So let's catch up on 21st and see you till then. Bye and take care. Have a safe Diwali. Happy Diwali to everyone. Happy Diwali to you, Priya, as well. Wishing you in advance.
Take care, guys, and all the best for the initiative. And I hope it.
Yeah, let's catch up on a trek. Let's meet up on a trek again.
Yeah, can't wait.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thanks. Okay. Bye, everyone. Take care.